Hey everyone, this is James LeBrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to ProgRock Digital.
Welcome to ProgRock Digital.
Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of ProgRock Digital. This is episode 4 of season 3. Thank you very much for downloading and streaming. Thank you for visiting progrockdigital.com, and please keep those emails coming through. Now today I'm chatting with Mark Zonder, hot off the press. I just had a chat with him, so it's fresh, it's ready to go. The band has just released their debut single off their debut album. Now the debut album is due to be released August 12th out through Metal Blade Records. It is called A through Z. However, today they have just released their debut single, and that is The Machine Gunner, and it's also got a cool video clip as well. So check that out on YouTube and all the streaming services. We're back after this quick break. The man behind some of the most iconic pieces of art connected to some of the biggest names in rock, Ioannis. Originally from Athens, Greece, in the last 36 years has created over 300 record covers for such clients as King Crimson, Fate's Warning, Uriah Heep, Allman Brothers, Blue Oyster Cult, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Yngwie Malmsteen, Deep Purple, Styx, just to name a few. Be sure to connect with Ioannis at www.dangerousage.com. Coming July 30th, the re-release of Amron's Plight, Voice in the Light, featuring Gary Werkamp, DC Cooper, and Nick DiVigilio. One of the greatest progressive conceptual albums of the 2000s is with us once again. www.amronsplight.net. Out through Lone Wolf Music. Falsett have released their debut album, We Follow or Lead the Way. Available to download and stream, visit falsett.co.
Hey everybody, it's Mark Zonder with A to Z with the first exclusive Australian interview with ProgRock Digital.
Mark Zonder, welcome back to ProgRock Digital. How are you, man?
Good. It's good to be back. I feel like I should own stock in the company at this point.
Well, yeah, I was going to say we might as well call it the Mark Zonder podcast.
Okay. I'm good. Sounds good to me.
Well, man, the first single off the album, The Machine Gunner, is out today. Your album is obviously due for release August the 12th. How does it feel to finally have something in your hand, something out? It must be exciting.
I kind of probably feel like women feel after they give birth for 9 months, because we've been sitting on this for quite a while. We were done with the record when we were supposed to at the end of November. And then between COVID and the manufacturing delays, everything just got pushed back. So we've been sitting on it. No, it feels great. I'm glad it's out. Just very, very, very excited. It's been a long time coming. I'm excited for all the guys and everybody that's been involved, all the way from, the engineer to Hugh Syme, who did the artwork, to, everything, So no, it's a great feeling. And then next month, another single, another video single, a full video, just like this one. We didn't want to do lyric videos or anything like that. I understand why they're done, but we are coming with a little different philosophy here with, which goes back to when I started the band. It's just bigger, better, faster, coming out like a well-established big band. And that's what we tried to do. Everything from, having Hugh Syme do the artwork in a full package, 5 different vinyl releases, actual videos that, time and effort and energy were put into try to make them really special, with the whole zebra in the beginning and the apple in the end, and just as many things as we can do. And behind it at the same time, we're doing as many promotional ideas and thoughts that we can. So it's just pushing it all to the middle. It's time to go.
So tell us about the Machine Gunner single and video that's come out.
Well, the way this band works, like a lot of bands work, is we wrote the music. We didn't really have anything in mind. It was just like, okay, this is cool. Okay, great riff. Okay, great. Let's break it down here, whatever. And then we give it to Ray, and he does whatever he wants. He could have wrote about Sunshine and Daisies, whatever he wanted to do. But this is what he heard. This is what he heard, and it is that kind of song when you think about it. It's up tempo. It's in your face. It's kind of just like a machine gunner. And then Ray writes the lyrics. But I thought, while doing this, instead of doing your typical, the opening to, Searching for Private Ryan or whatever, where it's just blood and guts and war, we all played Army as kids. We all had the little green helmets, and, some people were fortunate and had the really cool guns, but we dug forts and we threw like dirt clods at each other for hand grenades and stuff like that, and we all lit the little plastic men on fire. So it was just something that tied back to everybody's youth. I didn't want to get into a blood and guts style video. I didn't think that, really fit the song. And the song really is about the trials and tribulations of, the men and women that do that job, for us here in the United States or anywhere, obviously other countries have armies too, but the people that are, standing up there for their country, and what a burden it is for them.
Mm. So tell us about your dealings with Hugh Syme. Obviously, the man behind the artwork, and we know Hugh obviously through the likes of Rush, Fate's Warning. We can name a million bands. What was the process like? I mean, obviously that correlation between music and the visual, or if you like, artwork, is very important. Other bands just slap things on and rush through the process. But I mean, you've gone the extra mile with Hugh here, haven't you?
Well, it's interesting because I decided when I did this, if I was going to do this, I was going to do it right. And no, these aren't the days of the really big budget. So it's a small budget. We were very thankful for it. But, I came out of pocket. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. A lot of people go, oh, no, I can only use the budget. I didn't think that way. I was thinking, this is so good and I'm so into it that I'm putting the money out. Okay. The way the Hugh Syme thing came along was I was dealing with other artists. And kind of like you said, I was getting stuff back. That was kind of like, you got to be kidding. No way in hell. Not going to happen. We'll just go with a black cover before that happens. Just not happening. I said, hey, I've known Hugh because he's done a couple Fates Warning stuff. And, we've kind of been in touch over the years through Terry Brown, and stuff like that. So I said, what the heck? Again, kind of my philosophy on this whole record. Why not? Go ahead and try. What's the worst that's going to happen? They'll say no or won't pick up the phone. The way it goes is I call him. We start chit-chatting just about his project renovation on his house. And we're just talking. He goes, oh, what have you been up to musically? And I told him, and I gave him, the name of the band. And seriously, within 20 minutes, he shot me over the cover. I didn't even ask him yet, can you do it? I didn't even ask him yet. We didn't discuss finances. I didn't know if this was going to be absolutely ridiculous. And all of a sudden, he shoots me over the album cover because he had the idea already in his head and it just popped out. And he told me flat out, hey, if you guys don't use it or you don't want to go with it, it's cool. I'll still use it for whatever. And it just rolled from there. Then he started sending me the artwork because I thought it was important to have artwork for the different songs. And he just started shooting them out. And if you ever work with Hugh, he does it from start to finish. So he does all the design. He does how it lays out. He does the whole thing. We also had him do the vinyl as well, the vinyl jackets and stuff like that. And it's kind of, again, what this band is really based on, or my philosophy anyways, is you find the best people to work with and you just let them go. You just go do what you do. And the same thing came along through the music. We kind of did the same thing. It wasn't a lot of fighting. We never fought over parts. It was never like that. It was kind of like, okay, here's the verse. Let's come up with a chorus. Well, I got a drum pattern. Someone would write something to it. Or someone would say, hey, check out this guitar pattern that works, and they send it to me and I put the drums to it. It's like when you work with really high-end people, the magic happens. And I think that's what this band was based upon, whether it was Hugh Syme, or working with my friend Chris Grosso, who does the videos. Same thing. You're not talking about a guy in his basement. You're talking a guy who works for a major corporation, has owned his own companies, and basically spends more on catering on one of his video shoots than we spent on the whole 3 videos. So if you have these contacts and connections, you just get the best people, and you see what happens when you do. It works. It's magic.
So, Mark, there's no real need for micromanaging if they're professionals.
Absolutely. You hit it on the head. When they're professional, you don't have to. You can come in and say, hey, that looks a little off to me, or hey, can, true story. And I had to take a deep breath before I asked him, but with Hugh, he came up with just the general artwork of the Zeppelin and the ant that you see for Machine Gun. That's all it was, A to Z. I said, Hugh, this is cool and I dig it, but I'm thinking the Machine Gunner doesn't have a piece of artwork that correlates to that song. I go, would you mind just putting like a machine gun in the corner? And it's I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm telling Hugh Syme, I'm asking him I'm telling him what to do. Totally cool. He was totally cool. He said, sure, boom, there it is. And now at least to me, it made more sense to have a piece of artwork tied to a song than just a piece of artwork. So, and again, that's not micromanaging. That's just everybody trying to be creative. He did come back and ask me if I could change the intro fill on Trial by Fire. No, I'm just kidding. No, again, someone has to drive the bus. Someone has to make those decisions. Because like I always said, if Noah's driving the bus, we'd have 3 songs and no singer right now. If we all kind of sat around thinking someone was going to do something. So my whole intention from the beginning was, I had the vision. I knew where I wanted to go with it. And we just went there.
So, Mark, today is June 9th. You've just released your first single off the album. It's also pre-order date for the album. The album's out August the 12th. Tell us about that. How do we go about getting our hands on the product and ordering for it?
Well, there's a great T-shirt that comes with the pre-order. Brian Ames over at Metal Blade took the artwork from Far Side of the Horizon, which is like the herd of zebras with the big apple and the storm clouds. And it's a great looking T-shirt, really good looking T-shirt. And the pre-order basically is the CD. And from my recollection, it's 5 different vinyls. It's black, which is the heavier vinyl, which is the better sounding technically. There's white, and then there's 3 splatters, with the different colors. I'm not sure on the pre-order if the digital download is included and how that actually works. You got to remember, you're talking to a guy that hasn't done this in a long time, and I've been out of the loop on all the new digital this and digital that. Back in the day, it was like, here's a cassette and here's your album. But no, it's through Metal Blade Records, obviously, back home, and they do an amazing job so far. Everything with them has been great. They have all their different departments and all the different people where we have all kinds of different, ideas. Just recently at the Prog Power in Atlanta, they put a full page ad out. We decided to have like a contest. So, they're giving away some of the plaques and a broken cymbal that I signed and blah, blah, blah that I used during the record. So we're just trying to push on it as much as we can. We do have 30 to 35 videos, 1 minute to 2 minutes of the different guys talking about different things, whether it's your best gig, your worst gig, what songs you like the best or whatever. So we're set up to really attack this because obviously, it's about getting it out there. And, we've all heard for years, it's all about, quote, branding. It's your brand. And that was the whole point on that video. And that was the first one. And every single video from now on will have it. But we'll have that zebra and the apple intro. And we'll have the apple turning into the zebra at the end, just because that's the brand. That's Pixar. That's MGM. That's anybody else. And I thought it was important to present it that way, not just, okay, a bunch of flames coming up and, and then the song starts. So we were trying to really, give the fans a little bit more, something a little different, something to kind of, take you back to those days where you'd sit around with your album and visually and audio that it all connected.
Yeah. So how excited is Ray about the release?
Excited. Very excited. I think the thing about it is, like he says, this is different for him. He spent 30 years singing in a prog band, a prog metal band or whatever the label is these days. He says, this is totally different. I think the thing that I noticed the most when he recorded this, he was kind of loose and free. I've never really heard that from Ray before, even when I was in the band. The fact that we just gave him the music and said, do whatever you want. Knock yourself out. Let's see what you have. And I knew this style he loved because we talked about this in the old days. And he, kind of loved that 70s, 80s, whatever you want to call it. But I just told him the whole time, big hook, just a big hook. And I think he big hooked it to death. He nailed it. He nailed it. And the other thing that I'm proud of on this record is every song is completely different. There's no two songs that you can kind of say, well, yeah, they kind of slowed it down and now they're playing it with a shuffle. They're all, because of the way the writing process went on, they're completely different. And I'm very proud of that. And I think that's a very exciting thing for a listener. You listen to it and you're waiting for that filler song. You're waiting for the drum solo. You're like waiting, like, okay, what are they going to do to kill time because they don't have the great song? But I think we nailed it. I think we nailed it with the 11 songs. And it's interesting because we've done some surveys with the songs and we've had a couple different promotional campaign things going on that we're working. And the feedback is interesting from people. Yes, there's one or two that always kind of rise to the top. The Machine Gunner, Trial by Fire kind of rise to the top. But after that, everybody's got a favorite different song. Hey, man, Borrowed Time. I just love that chorus. I can't get it out of my head. It's stuck in my head. The Silence Broken that almost didn't even make the record just because we weren't sure of the time and how we were going to get done. It turned out to be like the feel-good hit of the summer. And people are going, oh, my God. It's like it's so catchy. It just makes you want to move. That's the other thing that was really important, too, with this record. Everything had to move. It had to groove. You had to be able to catch it, within 20 seconds and just feel it. I didn't want to put out a record that had, put it this way, the last thing I wanted to hear was, well, let me listen to it a few more times, or I didn't want to hear, it takes a while, but it really grows on you. That sounds like fungus, okay? That doesn't sound like a record. A record's supposed to come out, kick you in the face. When you put on the first Van Halen record, what do you say? Well, let me go listen to it a few more times so I can understand it. No, you went, oh my God. So it's the same kind of idea. Just come right out of the blocks, big and strong. And just with music, I knew with the guys that I had, it was going to get interesting and cute behind the scenes with the music. And it wasn't going to be just very stereotypical. And I knew we'd go off in little times, but I didn't want to write 12-minute songs. I didn't want to be a prog band. And even in songs like Far Side of the Horizon or Window Panes that have a little bit more going on, they're still within 4 to 5 minutes and they still are all hook. It's all hook. It just goes different little areas and brings you through different little moods. But you don't have to sit in that mood for 3 minutes. So I personally, I love the record. I think it really turned out well. I think everybody contributed, and that's another thing that makes it special. We're all coming from different places, completely different places. So when you blend that together, hopefully what you're getting is magic, not just a revamp of a Rainbow record, because everybody loved Rainbow when they were growing up. And so that's where all the influences come from. These guys' influences are all over the place. And that's what I think really makes the record.
Mm-hmm. Is there a showcase gig on the cards? Are we going to be able to see A through Z live, sooner rather than later?
You will be able to, but at the moment, what really is happening in the business, we don't have anything out, well, until today. So a booking agent's going, I don't know, is this a thrash band? Is this like 4 dudes playing cellos? No one knows what the band is. So, we've been running into it with the booking agents that, until you have something out, until you have product, until we know this is real, because how many times people, say this, and then it never happens for whatever reason. But until something is actually out there, an audience can see what it is, and then they'll gauge the reaction. Obviously, if we're fortunate enough to have really big pre-sales, which I'm hoping we will, a booker will look at that and go, wow, a promoter will look at that and go, okay, this is for real. It's garnering interest. We're doing everything we can to promote it and get it out there. The last thing I want to hear is, wow, man, I didn't know you had a record out. That's like the worst feeling in the world right there. So between Metal Blade and the things that we're doing, just needs to really get out there. But yes, absolutely touring, absolutely playing live. Not quite sure at the moment. We have a couple kind of ideas in the back of our heads. If like the big tour doesn't come down, or a co-headlining, or even any kind of tour doesn't come down, of possibly doing, a couple shows in certain locations and filming it, obviously, and and really take, going that route with a promotion. But we'll have to see what the reaction is. If this record comes out and is a complete flop, well, then it kind of wrote itself. Then that ship kind of sailed. So it really has to do with how the record goes over, I think, when it comes to live playing these days.
Man, I'm going to ask you this, and I'm probably deviating here from the overall question, but I mean, do you sleep at night? What are your sleeping habits like? Knowing you're constantly thinking, and constantly your mind's ticking and moving. You're in your 60s, man. How do you possibly manage this whole thing, this new release? Yeah. Various projects. How do you remain focused?
Yeah, a lot of speed. No, no. I'm not a big sleeper. I'm usually up by 6 o'clock in the morning easily. But then you can ask Philip Bino, don't call after 10. It's like kind of the running joke. He texts me at 9:35. He goes, "You asleep?" You know what I mean? But no, it's just I'm constantly going. I'm constantly thinking. I have other things obviously in my life going on as well. But no, it's just it doesn't stop. And I've already gotten to the point of I've got like 106 different new ideas for the second record that we're working on. So it drives me. That's what drives me. I'm sitting there, half asleep at 2 o'clock in the morning and kind of playing patterns with my fingers or trying to figure something out, and that kind of thing. And just thinking of like ideas, and they're not all great, but I figure if you come up with 10 ideas and five of them are really good, better than just coming up with 3 ideas and they all suck. So I'm constantly trying to push the envelope and just really do anything we can to stand out, and just be different outside the box. I'm not sure if any bands lately have really done something like what we did with the intro. I had this vision in my mind of like Pixar, they had the thing with the light or different things. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about it. Okay. The zebra comes out, pulls the apple off the tree, spits it out, and then kind of just growls at the camera, and boom, you're into the first song. It's just being creative and marketing your band. If nothing else, I think Philip said it in the very, very, very beginning when he saw the album cover and we weren't really deep into a lot of music. And he goes, "I'd buy that T-shirt just for the art." So it's all these different things that you're trying to do to put it in people's minds, and to move the band forward. I mean, that's all you can do today. Yes, we have a label and they're great, and they're doing everything they can. But there's no guarantees on anything. The last thing I want to do 6 months from now and goes, "Wow, man, I should have done this. I should have done that. I wonder what would happen if I would have tried this." Some of them flop. Some of them are like, yeah, whatever, and they backfire. Well, they won't backfire. You won't get the result. But you got to just keep on keeping on. Just keep going. And keep coming up with ideas and whatever it takes. So it's kind of where I'm at. It's what drives me. It's what I've wanted to do, my whole life. And, and I still wake up like that 19-year-old kid who wants to be a rock star and do everything that I need to do. Now I'd like to think I'm a little smarter and obviously I have more connections to make things work and more contact, but it's just, on that side of things, it's business. What can I do to promote this? Whether, is it a T-shirt? Is it a shoe? Is it a car? It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It's just business and you're trying to promote it. That's why, any interview I'll do, because I just look at it as a sales promotion for the band. Yeah, it takes time. Yes, it gets repetitive answering the same questions over and over again. But that's what you got to do. That's part of the gig. That's what I always thought anyways. It's just a sales pitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, can you touch on Metal Blade? I know that Metal Blade for you is of, high regard. It's very important in the grand scheme of things. You've got some awesome history with Metal Blade. Tell us about it and how it works for you and the band.
Got it. It's interesting because Warlord was on Metal Massacre 2, which was the second one, and we were on Metal Massacre 3, and they did Deliver Us and blah blah blah. What people don't know is there were other companies going on when Brian started this, and we were involved with one or two of them, and they never got to the point of putting out records. It was the same idea that Brian had: take 6 different bands, whatever. The one thing I can say about Metal Blade, going back all these years and even now, and I know people can say whatever they want, blah blah blah. Brian has always been fair. He has always been paid every dime that was owed. Did everything he said he was going to do. And he's been just like the pillar of how you do business. If he turns your record down, or if your record doesn't sell, that's not Brian's fault. Your record probably sucked. All these bands, it cracks me up in the early days, all these bands thought that they were missing royalties or whatever, not getting paid. It's like, guys, you sold 7 records, and he put out X amount of dollars to get you in the studio, because I used to do a lot of those records with Bill Matoyer in the early days, this drum tuner guy. And I'd be sitting in there going, man, these bands are lucky to be here, like in a nice studio. These bands are lucky to be here. But no, Metal Blade has just been straight up the whole time. You hear all kinds of different stories about labels and this, that, and the other, and all that. Brian is squeaky clean. Everything that he's ever said with me and my bands, Warlord, Fate's Warning, whatever, going back to the Metal Massacre, they've been great. I think what it really comes down to at the end of the day, he's a fan. And that's what really is what drives the thing. I don't think he necessarily wakes up every morning thinking, oh, how much money I can work today. I think it's about the music for him, and keeping that consistent level of quality going. Obviously, he's got to grow a business. We all understand that. But he's like one of the few labels that's out there that has like different styles. Most labels are this style. But, they run the gamut between, whether it's Cannibal Corpse or Fate's Warning or Lizzie Borden or A through Z or, King Diamond, Merciful Fate. I mean, it's a pretty wide thing going on there. So, you got to take your hats off to him, and you can't be disgruntled if he doesn't want to pick up your record. No, it's a business. And he's been like the way he's been like the guy that's how you do business. He does it right.
So, Mark, for those wanting to pre-order the album, my assumption is it's via the Metal Blade website today, and also via the A through Z.
Absolutely.
Website.
I mean, you can always go right to Metal Blade, because obviously that's the source. You can go to our website as well, but it's just and I'm sure we'll have the link there. But all you're going to do is link to them. So all you really need to do is go to Metal Blade. It's big, it's bold, it's there. It should be right in your face. To get the A through Z, and it's today, next week. By the time the week rolls out, it'll be an interesting week. Very very excited to see what happens. I think I'm kind of more excited just to see the fan reaction. We'll see. I think we've done a great job. I can't think of anything else that we could have done as a band. So I'm overly excited. I've listened to the record, 100 times, always waiting for that spot. Oh man, that doesn't work. Yeah, there's a couple spots that I wish things were mixed a touch different, but that's just like a personal thing. Again, I think what that record really has is 2 things. It has energy and it has diversity in song, but all under the A through Z umbrella. I'm not going to sit here and list off other records of other bands that I think are similar in that respect, where you listen to them and you go, great song, great song, great song, great song. They're out there, but it's usually great song, and that one's okay. Oh boy, where did they get that one from? That kind of thing. So I'm very, very proud of, the 11 songs and how they stand on their own. They all could basically be singles, without a doubt. And that's kind of what we were shooting for. We didn't sit down and go, okay, we have our 2 hit songs. Let's write the overly aggressive metal tune that only metalheads will like. We didn't do it that way. We tried to combine all those elements in all 11 songs.